there's a pretty simple calculation, which is you have the debasement rate, basically money supply growth, and then you have some amount of productivity growth. Right now, obviously, AI is a big factor, but over time, it's automation, it's everything, all of our technology, all of our organization. We're billions of people every day are trying to make things cheaper, essentially, and finding new ways to make things cheaper. So you have that, let's call it 7% money supply growth over the long term, and then you might have 4% productivity increases every year. So that difference, roughly speaking, that 3% in a longer term pattern is the price increases. And around the world, central banks are basically doing their best to counteract the deflation that we would get from productivity growth with that money supply increases. But there are periods of time where we don't get much more productive in a given 5-year stretch. It could be because there's energy shortages. It could be because there's war or something like that. And other times you're in that period where productivity is flowing. And then as that money supply growth happens, it doesn't show up everywhere equally because we're not 4% better at making gold this year. We're always just marginally better at making that. We're not better at making Bitcoin this year, obviously. And then, you go down the stack from there. So we're not, every year we're not way better at getting more oil out of the ground. We're a little better. We're not way better at making houses. We're a little better, but we are exponentially better, for example, making software. We're exponentially better over the several decades of making electronics. So when that happens, when you have that kind of longer term money supply growth, it shows up in the assets that we're not getting better at making. Same thing with the best stocks in the world. We're not getting better at making NVIDIA stock, for example. And that's where all that debasement capital shows up. And then the long tail of things that we're way more abundant in, they get cheaper and then they weigh down the CPI basket. And that's what allows the central bank to be pretty dovish.